We're going to talk about publishing, we're going to talk about books and media and new technology and the way that content and technology is being distributed and sold in different ways. What is the industry's approach in this now? Is this something they're investing for the future? Is it something they want to be seen to be doing? I mean, the actual revenue from the Kindle and the Sony reader, it must be tiny at the moment.
Yeah, it's infinitesimal. Just to put it in context, last year about 237 million books were sold, print books were sold in the UK. This year, Waterstones is by far the market leader, maybe about 90%. They've sold about 500,000. So it's really small. But publishers are looking for the future. In a way, they've kind of been lucky in that they've seen what has happened to digitization with the music industry and the film industry, and they kind of can look at that and see, kind of plot their future. They've had time to kind of see what the future is going to be.
The best one I've seen so far is actually the Sony one, and that's because it has very good format support. I had a Kindle sent over from the States. I've only just got my UK spec Kindle, but I had one sent over from the States about 6 months ago. And it was great, but the problem is that if you wanted to get content onto it that wasn't bought from Amazon, it was very convoluted. You had to do all kinds of conversion steps, email them, they convert it, send it back. It was rubbish. Whereas if you want to get something off, Project Gutenberg or manybooks.net or all these great out of copyright works that are digitized and you can read all the classics for free, which is fantastic. You want something that will just let you download them, pretty much whatever format, and put them on. And I think the Sony was very good format support. There was one that was better, but the Sony had the best screen as well, and general build quality, that kind of thing. They have to make them as open as possible. They can't be locking them down into various revenue models or various formats. Otherwise, people aren't going to buy them. They're really, you don't want to pick up a book that you can only read on certain conditions. It's no good at all.
Sure.
And the problem that e-readers really have is they're up against very strong competition, which is the book, which is an astonishingly good way of storing information. There's loads of information, it's possible, it works wherever you are.
Yeah. Ebooks seem to be trying to recreate the experience of reading a paper book pretty much exactly. And it's kind of easy to see why they start off doing that, because you kind of have to get people comfortable with it. But you can do other things with it that's a bit more interesting. The ebooks that we released over the summer for the iPhone, you get an ebook and you get the audiobook at the same time. And the nice thing that it does, which isn't very strange or bizarre, but it works, is that it syncs the audio to the text, so you can switch instantly from one to the other as you're walking along. This kind of stuff you can't do in a paper book, and that's really just the kind of start of what we'll see happening with ebooks, of kind of expanding the possibilities slightly of what's possible with the book. I'm a huge fan of paper books; it's all wonderful, but I want to, if people want to read in other different ways, they should have the chance to do so.
The problem with reading something on screen or like on an iPhone, it's great for short things, but you really can't sit there and get immersed into it for hours on end because it is actually tiring on the eye, and that is because of the backlight shining into your eyes. Also, if you're trying to read out in the sunshine, for example, you can have real trouble with LCD displays. I mean, they reflect and they refract, and you just can't see what's going on. With electronic paper, it's not like that. It does look like paper, and admittedly that means you can't read it in the dark without a torch. But that's just like having a book.
Sure.
But it doesn't tire your eyes. You can read it in the sunlight, and it doesn't. Yeah, it's something that you can read for a long period of time, and that's a difference. While having a book on your iPhone is absolutely fine when you're getting the tube to work. 20 minutes, you'll read a few chapters, absolutely fine. Don't get tired. Although then you have to look at a screen all day. So, if you're in bed reading for a long time on the beach in your garden, I don't know, you really do want this new kind of screen. And it doesn't hurt your eyes at all, as far as I can.
Royalties to authors for ebooks are a big contentious issue in the industry right now. While authors want about 50%, publishers don't want that much, around 10, 15%. And the self-publishing model, which maybe 2-3 years ago everyone was talking about, you can publish things through Lulu and then it'll go straight to your e-reader. Well, that's difficult to do because you need, I think, a publisher to kind of cut through all the noise that's out there and kind of bring this product to the consumer.
It's a far more efficient way of sharing the data of books. A book is a big, fat, heavy thing, but also it's a handful of K. And you can fit, I don't know how many hundreds of books attached to an email. It's an incredibly efficient way of getting things about, which is also very good for rare books, for books that are hard to find, for books that you just can't find in your local shop, which is also good for the environment. You don't have to travel and all that kind of thing. The problem is obviously that then you worry about piracy, and you worry about easy distribution. Distribution models lead to piracy. And if you excessively lock things down with DRM and that kind of thing, it usually just cheeses off people who buy things legitimately. So then that's another argument you've got to worry about. The music industry's got that headache at the moment. Spotify's could well go some way towards solving that problem. I don't know what you'd have with books.
The idea that instead of many different titles, many different physical items, you might only need one, and then you don't even need to download lots of different titles. They could be hosted somewhere centrally. We just mentioned Spotify, and in music streaming, this is a massive trend at the moment. Spotify is the kind of the sort of faddish thing that everybody's doing. But I mean, is this possible in books? I mean, has Google got a solution? Anyone say?
You can digitise. I mean, the British Library's got a great digitisation project, and they're trying to scan and get all these. When they've only got one or two of each volume, and they have to be locked in the vault because they're 500 years old, whatever. You digitise them, you bring them out to a wider audience, and that's a wonderful thing. The problem is that what they're massively worried about is digital obsolescence, as you would be, because you have all kinds of problems. You have. If you make something, you digitise something and you put it on a format, whether it's a hard disk, whether it's in the cloud, whether it's on a disk or a CD, who knows? You have the problem that in the future, 50 years, 100 years, 10 years, I don't know, firstly, you won't be able to physically get the data off that thing. Secondly, even if you could do, you won't be able to interpret the data, because even the simplest of text formats is, can be difficult to read.
Yeah.
So, you can imagine if you find an old Amstrad disk or something you've got with some word processing files on it, you'll never be able to read it.
So the technology moves on and the file doesn't.
Exactly.
So it's like trying to put a Commodore 64 disk into a PC.
Yeah.